Hello. So, you've all seen them, all these vlog series that are just the TBR takedown. And so this is the beginning of my first TBR takedown video because I feel like out of everybody who's doing these, I need it the most. Most people, when they do these, they start them with a going through of their entire physical TBR. Neither of us have 7 hours, so I'm not going to do that. But I will tell you how many books are on it because I do have a spreadsheet. I've kept a spreadsheet for years now of how many books are on my current physical TBR. Just because it helps me keep track of things. And I guarantee you, if this is not the largest TBR you have ever heard of, largest physical TBR, I'm not counting ebooks, although we will talk about that briefly too. If this is not the largest physical TBR you've ever heard of, I will delete my fucking channel. So, drum roll, please. My TBR currently sits at 2,592 books. And keep in mind, that is just physical TBR books. That is physically books that are sitting. There are over 2,500 books sitting in that closet right there. So, here's another thing. I do still have some books coming. I considered waiting until they were all here. However, what I have coming is I have my very last Rainbow Crate. And then I do have 2 Amazon orders. One of them is supposed to be here today. The other one was supposed to be here last Monday and may never come. So if that happens, it's probably for the best because I have like 7 books in that one. I have not bought a book in 4 days. 4 days, that's it. And I do have a running kind of tracker thing on my phone. It's genuinely, I'm using a sobriety tracker for this. So there's that. You may be asking, what about ebooks? Because I do have a Kindle. I do occasionally read ebooks. So my plan here is that I will have, when I do these vlogs, ebooks will not be included. What I'm probably going to do is I'm probably going to keep this like by the bed and then like so then I can read at night. That's my thought here because I would love to read before bed. I used to do that when I was growing up all the time. However, when I was growing up, you know, my parents knew that I loved to read. You know, they encouraged it because they were good parents. And so I shared it with my sister. I was in the bottom bunk and my father built in a reading light right above me. I don't have that, so it's hard to read. I have to get up and turn off the light when I'm done. So I thought I'm just gonna put this by the bed and I read before I go to bed. That's my thought there. So here's the plan for killing that thing. I'm doing it a stack at a time. There were a couple of TBRs that I probably posted by this point that were me talking about doing things a stack at a time. That died pretty quickly. But that's what we're gonna do, take a stack at a time. And so I'm gonna go and get the first stack. So I'll show you my first TBR for the first video of TBR takedown. Ideally, future Aurora will have kept my TBR number up in the corner here. I will be also posting doing little hauls in this vlog just to you know, keep that number accurate. So yeah, let's grab our first. So one thing that I do need to do when I'm doing this, when I go through this, is to make sure that I don't have any sequels to books I haven't read in here. So that is also part of this. First up, this is the book I'm currently reading. I just plopped it on top of the first stack just because, and that's my reread of Glamorama by Brady. That's my reread of Glamorama by Brady Snellis. I'm like 200 pages in. This is my favorite book. It's a great time. This is actually in the book wall, because I was like, why do I only have a paperback of my favorite book of all time? So I got myself a first edition. It's that kind of shit I need to stop. So, Glamorama by Brady Snellis. And the first couple things here are like, Aurora, did you just take what you wanted to read really bad off of your last TBR and stick it on the first stack? The answer is yes. So I do have Snow Boys by Simon Doyle. This is a Rainbow Crate book. It is a Achillean contemporary romance from an Irish author. It is gorgeous. So pretty. Like, if I wasn't trying to kill that thing, I would have absolutely kept Rainbow Crate. Like, so pretty. I also have Dapgo, Dan and Phil Go Outside. One of the main reasons I kept this on there because I know it's going to be really fast. And I've been in a really big Dan and Phil phase recently. So there's that. I've also got Pet Sematary by Stephen King. I did very recently rewatch the movie, which has made me want to reread the book. So, very exciting. The second volume of Feature Diary by Sakai Eisuno. Unfortunately, for my continued collection of my new manga that is too expensive, I have 1 through 4, and that's probably where it's going to stay. Possibly forever. I do have my own book. I have For My Country by me. This is a Teen-on novella. It's Teen-on 0.5. If you read Circus Wings and you're really sad about the guard characters, this is about them as teenagers, so you might like this. I have Middle of the Night by Riley Sager. I have read Survive the Night and Lock Every Door. That's what I read by Riley Sager. So I've got this one as well. This one is, I believe, the one with his first male protagonist, which is interesting. Alright, I have another manga continuation. I have Flowers of Evil Volume 4 by Shuzo Oshimi. I've been dipping my toes into all of Oshimi stuff, and Flowers of Evil has by far been my absolute favorite series of his. We've got Under the Rainbow by Celia Lasky, which is a very recent release, and actually, this one was shipped separately from my Amazon package that got lost, and this is the only one that made it, so very fun. Another manga continuation, Sasuke Miyano Volume 3. A manga one-shot, This Wonderful Season with You by Atsuko Yusen, which is the same person who I believe also wrote and drew Boku Deku Sugar Days. What is it called? You're not going to tell me. Alright, Go Luck Yourself by Sarah Rosh. I actually had this pre-ordered, and that's another thing. I will have some pre-orders coming in. Like I have the new Stephen Graham Jones coming, the new volume of Nozaki, a bunch of stuff. Basically, I won't say through July, I think is where my last pre-orders are, but I did have this one pre-ordered. We have After God Volume 1 by Sumi Eno. This was when I was still getting Hansama. This was one of those. I have Fireborn by Rosaria Munda, I believe fantasy. We have Touch by Natalia Joster, and I really loved Natalia Joster's books. I really did, and they started reprinting them and redoing them, and I bought some of them. I did. So we'll see. I don't know if this is going to mean I'm going to really get back into her. I do have this one, and I have her redoing of Trick. And I really remember this one being a very sweet one. So I'm not sure if I'm gonna like. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not sure if I'm gonna like how it's redone. I have Usurper of the Sun by Kosuke Nojiri, which is a novel actually. I don't know if one would call this a light novel or not. It might be a light novel, but I don't think it's a light novel. There's no like little, I don't know. It's interesting. I have a reread of City of Bones by Cassandra Clare. We have The Sea of Monsters by Rick Riordan, also a reread. I have World After by Susan E. I did read Angel Fall. It was genuinely 10 years ago. So we'll see just how much I remember when I read this, because I don't think it's gonna be much. I'm not gonna lie. I have, again, technically a reread. I read it like 10 years ago though. Maximum Ride, The Angel Experiment. I was never really all that into these books, but we'll see. This is, I believe, probably a series that I can put in my classroom. So that's a good thing. A reread of Summer Sons by Lee Mandello. This is genuinely one of my favorite horror novels of all time. I had it. It was really good. I donated to the school I worked at. I had to get a new copy for because I loved it. I got a paperback. I was like, I want a hardcover. I got a hardcover. Now I'm rereading it again. And all of my book buying things, it's all of what's wrong with it right there. So there's that. We have Darkroom Etiquette by Robin Rowe. This one looks interesting. I read A List of Cages when it came out. It was good, tragic, disturbing in a way. But I feel like this one's going to kind of go along the same route. This next one is technically, this is book 4 and something, but I don't, genuinely, this is not something I care to read in order, because it's a Five Nights at Freddy's book. This is Submechanophobia by Scott Cawthon, Kelly Para, and Andrea Wagner. And again, this is technically number 4. I do not care to read this in order. So, there we go. we have The Yearbook by Peter Larangis, which looks so fun and so stupid. This next one I'm actually going to take off and put this on my, I'm building a stack over in the corner, which is where I'm going to put all of my like sequels that I haven't read yet. But also, if I've already read a book this year, I'm not reading it again. I did just read The Lightning Thief with a group of 5th graders, so I'm putting it in my corner stack. So we're not having this one on the TBR. I am going to read Female Chauvinist Pigs by Ariel Levy, which is Women and the Rise of Raunch Culture, which is a nonfiction book about women and the rise of raunch culture. You know, so this should be interesting. It's a little old. I believe it's mid-20. Oh my gosh, it's 2005. I thought it was 2010. It's even older. Interesting. This is gonna be interesting. It's gonna be a bit outdated in some points, but it might be interesting to read anyway. All right, Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. I've never read this one. This was coming out like when I was in like college, and I never really cared to pick it up. It should be at the very least pretty quick. If it is anything like Shatter Me, I'm gonna not like it very much. We are getting tall. Unleashed by Nancy Holder and Debbie Vigue. Is this book one? If it's not, I think it is. I believe this is book one. Right, this is book one. I'm pretty sure this is book one. God, is that fucking... No, it's King Lear. Thank God. I was like, is that Bible verse? No, it's King Lear. So I believe this is book one. This is a paranormal romance from the... Sorry. Group chat. Paranormal romance from like the early aughts. Okay, just a couple more. I promise. This is gonna fall over. I do have a little short story from Book of the Month when I was getting that. That is Garth by Kate Brody. This is in the book wall. I'm counting it. It does count. So, I have this. If that is the thing that makes it fall, I swear to God. Okay. Volume 1 of Tokyo Ghoul. This is, again, technically a reread. I read this in college when it was big. Good time. And then the last two, one of them is actually a sequel, but the one that I can read is Red Dragon by Thomas Harris. This is this is technically the first book in the whole Hannibal Lecter situation. I did listen to an abridged version of the audiobook of Silence of the Lambs, but that was basically just the movie. I haven't watched any of the movie versions of Red Dragon. I'm actually more interested in the Manhunter one, the older one, than the one called Red Dragon. Although unfortunately, I do own Red Dragon, like the movie. So I guess I'll probably watch that one first. But I do have this, and then the one that I'm not reading, is that as a sequel, is The Hero of Ages. Technically, I have read the Mistborn trilogy before. I have. I read it back when I was in high school, when it was Brandon Sanderson first started getting really, really big. However, when I'm rereading it, I do want to reread it in order. I did just reread book one, and I would like to reread The Wall of Ascension before I reread this one. So these two are going in a special stack, all by themselves, until I finish this stack. I will check in when I finish one of these books, or when my package comes, one was supposed to come today, and we will watch that book wall counter rise and fall. And this whole stack that just collapsed here, that should take care of any books. Even if my lost package does come, this stack should take care of any books that that come in this situation. Because I do have a Rainbow Crate coming, but that's only 2. And even if I publish books, that'll, I guess, put the book count up, but that is 6 a year, so that's not that much. So I will check in when I finish something. Hello, welcome back to TBR Takedown. In this case, TBR takes down me because I do have 8 books to add to my TBR here. So one of my big Amazon orders came in. I have one more coming, maybe. We'll see. It might have gotten lost forever. We'll see about that. But the 8 books I'm adding to my TBR is The Hunted by Charlie Higson. Now I do have the entire series in hardcover with the black sprayed edges with a dust jacket. I have read this entire series. However, when I get a book, whether I've read it before or not, it goes in the TBR. It goes on the wall. So, what is that? Gross. Anyway, that's the first thing. And then also, so these next group, most of them here, are all books. I finished reading The Golden Raven, and then I was looking at other books that are like The Golden Raven because it ruined my life, so I picked up a whole bunch more self-published, mostly queer romances. I have Like You've Nothing Left to Prove by E.L. Massey, which is hockey figure skater. I'm assuming that's hockey given the jersey, figure skater. I also have Free from Falling by E.L. Massey. Oh, it's by the same, I didn't even realize that was by the same author. Damn, look at that. Which is about, okay, we got more hockey. And then we've also got rock band, and she's now like trans woman, and it's gonna be great. Another one that I got on the same vein, just in the same vein as like this was compared to The Golden Raven, Horns for Hell by Raphael Nicolas, which is a fallen angel. Oh, I think that this, we'll see. This feels like it's going to be a little bit, I'm not sure how this is going to be. We'll see. Another hockey romance. We got Untouchable Player, where we've got one hockey player, one non. And then Caught Off Guard, which is another one, by Catherine Cloud, which is two hockey players. And then A Series of Rooms by A.J. Barlow, which has nothing to do with hockey. And then the one that was not involved in that is the sequel to, what was this the sequel to? Unsold, sequel to Unsold, which is Soulsmith. I actually read Unsold on my Kindle, so I'm not sure why I bought this in paperback, but I did buy it in paperback. I liked it well enough. I thought it was kind of fun in the sense of like, I don't know, the main character really thought around a lot of things. But yeah, these are the 8 books I'm adding to my TBR. So we're down 1, so we're up 7 total, I guess. Down 1, up 8, up 7 total. All right, -1 on the TBR takedown. I did read Garth by Kate Brody, which is a short story following this woman who has learned that one of her childhood friends is having a baby, and she is financially in a much different spot than most of her childhood friends at this point. And it's her struggling with the fact that she's not really a part of their world. And honestly, this was uncomfortable to read. It really was. I have never been one to get really into the politicky world of upper class conservative women. That's what it is. I grew up fairly, like, my parents didn't have any money when I was born, and a lot of the stuff that they instilled in me really has nothing to do with status, which is what this is very concerned with. This is very concerned with the status. And the main character, I just wanted to just shake her and be like, be your own person. Stop trying to be somebody you're not. I don't know how I felt about it. I'm gonna say probably the way that it made me, the fact that it did make me feel so visceral about a lot of things is, I suppose says good things about the writing, but I'm just like, oh my god, like, does this matter to anybody? If this matters to you, if this kind of stuff matters to you, get real problems. That's my thought. But -1, doing great. Hello, checking in right now because we got another -1 on the book wall. I love Glamorama so goddamn much. Every time I reread Glamorama, it's the same thing. Like, this is my 3rd time reading this book. And so I guess the first time I read it was a little bit different. The first time, the first 60 pages could not fucking care less. And then it just kept going and going. I got wrapped up in it. But both this time and when I reread this book last year, first 60 pages, in love. We get to learn so much about Victor in the first 60 pages, and so much of how he kind of sees the world and how he interacts with the world. And really everything is explained in the first 60 pages. And then at some point, I don't know, like, it's like I'm afraid that it's not my favorite book anymore, which is ridiculous because, like, this has been my favorite book for way less than, like, Lord of the Flies is my favorite book, or The Long Walk was my favorite book, like, this has been my favorite book for a year and a half. But I don't know if you love this book as much if you don't love Victor, but this book and Victor and I just, my heart fucking breaks. Like the paragraph that really got me on this one was the paragraph after, when he's meeting with with people, and he's learning that this is all just because his dad wants to be the president. And you can tell in, you know, the first 60 pages, when you can tell the entire book, that relations between Victor and his father are strained, because his father is a United States senator, and Victor, at best, is a kind of ditzy party boy. Probably there's probably something in there about Victor, who is very, very fucking bi. There's probably something in there about his father not accepting the fact that his son has frequently had sex with men, and you can kind of see that in the little flashbacky chapter when he first meets Chloe at the very end, where he's very casual about mentioning that he hooked up with a guy the night prior. And then you look at the first 60 pages, and he is like, he's a male model, and he is vehemently against any sort of accusation in that point. And so in that case, kind of the whole Bobby Hughes thing did kind of bring that back to him in a way. There's a lot of this book. There's not enough time here. Like, I don't want to spend time dissecting this book right now, because this is a vlog clip and it'll be way too long. And also, like, my ideas and my opinions and my feelings are not organized. I'm really just saying a lot of stuff. But no, I'm very happy that I chose to get a hardcover of this book, because it's my favorite. My previous copy, it's still sitting on my shelf. It's the UK paperback. I found it in a thrift store, and it was my first Bret Easton Ellis book, and I knew who Bret Easton Ellis was. I knew he wrote American Psycho, so I was like, what the hell? But I'm glad about this. This is a first edition. So naturally I ruined it by some annotations, not very many. But it's big and it's nice, and it's got Keanu Reeves on it. I like Keanu Reeves. So yes, I'm one more down. This did take me a while. This did take me 5 days to read. But I'm not too upset about that. I was kind of taking my time. I love this book so much, man. I love it so much. I do. I genuinely do. But my next book should not take me near as long. So I will be back when I read another book. Hello, minus another one from the book wall. I just read Under the Rainbow by Celia Lasky, and I haven't bawled my eyes out at a book in a while. Like, I've teared up quite a bit, because I read a lot, and some of that's sad. But halfway through this book, I read the Linda chapter. I closed the book and I burst into tears. And I feel like a lot of the people who have a problem with this book, because this book it's quite polarizing in a lot of ways. It's got a lot of people, and a lot of queer people who don't like it, and who think it does more harm than good. And I don't know if the people who don't like it have ever lived in a rural town in a red state. You know, like, I thought this was kind of beautiful, and I thought this was sad. I think the first chapter doesn't do it any favors. But Avery is a teenager, and she makes poor decisions, and she is kind of unlikable because she's a teenager. Probably Avery's chapter was my least favorite. No, I thought it was very good, honestly. I thought it was, I'm gonna take that chair back soon, you know. Yeah. It was a good one. And we're down another one. Ooh, that's a 3-book day. I finished The Mortal Instruments. So that's another book off the book wall, which is great. I read this book first when I was in 5th grade. Must have been right when it might have been 6th grade, because this book came out in 2007. I went into 5th grade in 2007, so it might have been after 5th grade. And it was the first book I'd ever read that had a gay character. And it's really bad. It's a rough start to a series. Like, honestly, like, especially the first couple of chapters are just so not good in any real way. And it's really clunky, and the writing isn't quite there. And, you know, if you listen to the lore, mostly plagiarized. But it is truly amazing how, like, I remember I read Lady Midnight like 2 years ago, and it was like, holy shit, this is amazing. And also, I still love Alec. I still love Alec Lightwood. So it was nostalgic, but not so nostalgic that I couldn't recognize that it was not good. So that's where we're sitting there. All right, same day, and we are minusing another one. I did read the first volume of Tokyo Ghoul. This is my second time reading this manga. I did also watch the anime when I was in high school. It was coming out when I was in high school. So I did watch the first season. I never went past the first season, though I do have the anime on DVD now, so I can kind of watch it at my leisure. This is a good series. I remember really liking it. I never went past the first volume. Like, I read the first volume previously. I never read second or third. I never went past it. I'm kind of vibing with it, and I honestly am kind of thinking about keeping it around. Obviously, I'm not buying books right now, one would hope. But I might keep it around and maybe consider continuing it at some point. I don't know when this whole project is going to be over. I don't know if I'm going to have the gumption to finish that entire thing before I buy any more books. Probably not. I mean, if we're being completely realistic here, absolutely not. But we'll see. You know, maybe the end of the year. I don't even know if I could do that, man. I don't know. I guess we'll see. I do have like genuinely like a sobriety counter on my phone that's like I'm using for like not buying books. So yeah, I did finish this up, so that is another one off the list. Hello, I have another update for my TBR takedown. It's not looking so great. We do have -1 today. I did read Dark Room Etiquette. It was very good. And dark in the way that I do expect from Robin Rowe. I did read Illicit Cages when it came a while ago. Not right when it came out, but a while ago. And this one does kind of have a lot of similar themes there. But I did read it. But I did also, so I did pre-order The Buffalo Hunter Hunter by Stephen Graham Jones. So that came in today. It's beautiful. I'm very excited. And then also I went to Barnes & Noble and we did some damage there. So I did pick up H.P. Lovecraft, The Complete Fiction, because I am interested. I have read all of Clark Ashton Smith's works, and I need, it's ridiculous to me that I haven't read anything by Lovecraft. So I just went whole ham and got the whole thing. So very excited. Obviously, this man was a racist, but he's dead now, so I can buy his books if I want to. Then I also did buy off of their sales section. I got Ancient Greece. Illustrated Encyclopedia of Ancient Greece, authoritative account of Greek military and political power, architecture, sculpture, art, drama, and philosophy. This was in like a bunch of like nonfiction sale stuff, and I was interested. Okay, I just wanted to. Seemed like fun, so I'd pick this up. And then also I was curious about Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare. I have never read anything of hers that was not Mortal Instruments related, so I picked it up. And finally, The Salt Grows Heavy by Cassandra Kah, because I do love Cassandra Kah. So in all, that is a +4. Alright, minus another one I did just finish up For My Country, which is my own book. Hi, I've written books. This is the prequel novella for the Teen-On trilogy. So if you read Circus Wings and were really, really sad about the deaths at the end of Circus Wings, this book's for you. But no, it's my own book. I don't have a lot to say about it, except for this is my one fantasy series, like straight up fantasy series. And I did just finish rereading the prequel novella. Hello, -1, another one on the book wall. I do think I'm feeling like this first round is, I feel like I'm going to call it a practice round so I don't feel bad about myself when it hasn't shrunk by the end of it, because I've had a couple of issues here and there. But I did just read the 3rd volume of Sasaki and Miyano. This is so cute. The main problem with the series is that it's so skinny, and so it's hard to justify spending $13 on this. But it's very cute, and this really made me want to rewatch the anime. So that's on my list of DVDs to purchase at this point. But no, it's very cute. Very, very cute. Very slow burn BL series. I love the characters. It's very funny. The art style is beautiful. And I'm sad because this is the last volume that I have in the series. And, you know, we're trying to kill that thing. So it's hard to justify buying any more right now, especially when I did already have so many fuck-ups, you know? But yes, that is that. -1 more. Hello, we have a +1 to the book wall. That is my March 24th, 2025 New Yorker. I do put these on the book wall because otherwise I would never read them. So this goes on the book wall. It will come off the book wall when I read it. What do we got in here? I don't even know. Let's see. Let's see what we got. What's interesting about this one? I feel like I'm using this first one as a practice round, which is not a mindset I should be in, but it is. Ooh, this is interesting. You mad, bro, how the left lost young men to Trump. That might be interesting. Ooh, The Fictions by Joyce Carol Oates. All right. It's about gossip. There might be some interesting ones in here. There might be. We'll see. Hello, minus another one. It's like 8:30 and I really should be like closer to getting ready to bed, for bed. I did just finish up Pet Sematary. So that's another -1 from the book wall. This is a reread. This isn't one that I've reread a ton of times. I think I've actually seen the movie more often than I've read the book, which is weird for me for Stephen King. But I'm talking the old one, the one from the 80s, and I do love the movie. I think that the original movie is really quite faithful and probably one of the better Stephen King adaptations, and I'm in love with Victor Pascal. But this is a good book. It really is. It really is one of his best. I have a soft spot for King's Doctor characters. Jimmy Cody, Rusty Everett, Lou Creed is really no different. I know a lot of people have issues with him for lots of reasons, and there are lots of reasons to have issues with him. But I love how methodical he is. And it's a good book. It's a really good book. There's a reason why this is one of the classics, of Stephen King. But that is another one off that monster. Like I mentioned earlier, I do think that I'm kind of treating this first round as a practice round. And the practice is not going so hot, one might say. So I got to get out of that mindset. Because at this point, I'm still buying so many fucking books. I have so many coming in the fucking mail. So I gotta stop that. But yes, that is that. Hello. We're adding 5 books to the book wall because I hate myself. Okay, so let's talk about these. The first one I have is Echoes of Us by Alex Cross, which is this has a theme, and that theme is I finished rereading The Golden Raven. I finished reading The Golden Raven. I decided the paperback finally came up. I decided I wanted to get The Golden Raven and some other books that were on the if you like this, try this thing, like the similar to. And Echoes of Us is one that is a male sports romance. I did also another one that was describes that was the entire Captive Prince trilogy. So I have book 1, Captive Prince, book 2, Prince's Gambit, and book 3, King's Rising. I have read the first 2 books. I never finished the trilogy, and when I read these, it was a long time ago. This is really what brought C.S. Pacat onto the whole scene. This is the these are the new covers. This is traditionally published now. I believe when I first read it, it was self-published yet. But there's these, and then of course I did pick up a paperback of The Golden Raven. I'm still holding out for fucking nice editions of these ones. But I did not want the Sunshine Court to feel ugly and alone on my shelf, so I did pick up The Golden Raven in paperback as well. I don't know how I'm gonna feel when the 3rd book comes out, but that is that. +5. I really got it. Like, it's bad. This is bad. But here we go. Hello, we're minusing 1 now. I did finish Submechanophobia, which is a Five Nights at Freddy's set of graphic novels. I'm not super familiar with Five Nights at Freddy's. Like, I know the basic concept, and I'm a teacher, so I know some details. Although Puppy Playtime is really more popular at this point, which I do know more about because I watched Dan and Phil. But this was fun. It was fun in very much like a 90s like point horror kind of way. I think I like the title story the most. I don't know, just felt like the most interesting in general. Yeah, no, I read it. It's over. Time to continue on. All right, we're adding 2. So I have 2 things here, 2 books. I have the 4th volume of Saskia and Miyano, because I did just read volume 3. I really enjoyed it. And I was looking for more stuff to get to free shipping on Amazon, and I was at a new high for my Days Since Bought books, so I did pick up Sasuke Mano Volume 4 because I just did that. And I think for manga especially, my new thought here is if I've read all my current volumes, you know, like for Sasuke Mano, the third one was the last one that I had to get. So the fourth one, you know, so on and so forth. When it comes to stuff like Cast Heaven, I'm not all caught up in all the volumes I have, so I'm not going to buy more volumes. I have Volume 4. I also have Fallen Thorns by Harvey Oliver Baxter, which is just, I've really been getting into exploring more self-published stuff, just because I am a self-published author and I would like to support other self-published authors. And this is, I believe, gay romance. It is the weekend now. Hopefully I can read more there. Like I said, I'm now on a new high for my books since bought, Days Since Bought, the last book. And I'm really trying not to spend any money right now. That's my thought. That's my thought. But I do have a +2. Yes, hopefully I can get a lot read this weekend. The next one, I'm like a third of the way into my current book. And then I've got the next book up is a manga, and then a couple of really fast like young adult books. So hopefully that should be easy, you know, to get some more going. I don't think, other than any pre-orders that might come in, I don't think I have any for a while. And other than that lost package that might show up at one point in my life, I don't think I have any other book coming. I'm pretty sure I don't. So that should be good. I do have my last Rainbow Crate, I suppose. Maybe. I'll see. I'll have to check into that. Other than that, and pre-orders, which again, I don't think I have any pre-orders until May. Maybe I might have one in April. I don't remember. But I know I have the new Frederick Backman in May. But other than that, like, you know, we should be holding strong. All right, so we are subtracting 1 from the book wall, because I did finish up Snow Boys by Simon Doyle, and honestly, it's stuff like this that makes me kind of sad that I quit doing Rainbow Crate, because it was very good, and it's a beautiful, you know, piece of work here. Just the formatting, the design, all of it is gorgeous, and it was very good. It was very good. I really enjoyed it. I liked the characterization. The writing was good. I believe Doyle is self-published. I mean, this is a Rainbow Crate edition, but I did look into his other books, and it does appear, he does appear to be self-published, which is great that we have fantastic self-published authors like this. But yeah, that's minus another one. Hello. So we are minusing another one from the book wall. I did just finish up the 4th volume of The Flowers of Evil. So the first 3 volumes really did have this very specific, like, definite arc to them. So the first 3 are definitely its own arc. And so I was wondering where the story was going to go after that, honestly, because it did seem very final. But this one we introduced some new things, sort of. I'm very interested to see where Nanako's story goes, because I think it's pretty clear where we can see where Nakamura and whatever our main character's name is, what's his name? What's his, like, Takao. I think I can see where their story would go, but I'm very curious to see where our other female character's story does go. But yes, there's that. My next read does look like it's gonna be a quick YA. I doubt I'll finish it today. That would be weird. But I could see myself finishing it tomorrow, which would be great. Yeah, I'm not making as much progress on this as I had hoped, which is mostly, I think, honestly, due to the fact that I keep fucking buying books. So, we'll call it a practice run, you know? I don't think we're gonna be down any by the time this first act is over. I'm not gonna lie. But that is that. I will talk to you when I finish another book. Hello. We got a -1 on the book wall. I did finish up Red Queen. It was better than I thought it was going to be, honestly. I did not have very high expectations. So this is a YA fantasy dystopian situation. And it did come out fairly late in the game for that. It came out in, I believe, 2016-ish, 2015. So we're really, like, at the tail end of the dystopian era, at the beginning of the fantasy era, which I guess kind of works well for this, because this is really kind of both. It really reads like a fantasy, but you can tell it's a dystopian. And I don't know, I think probably my main complaint with this one is that none of the characters really seem fully realized, particularly side characters. Like the main character, sure. The princes, sure. Any side characters, absolutely not. And I feel like a lot of the times with these dystopian fantasy, with any book, but especially with like these rebellion books, I'm like, you gotta make your side characters super lovable and fun. And that really wasn't here in this one. Like the only characters that you could feel anything for were Mare and then Cal and Maven, and that was it. So that was that. There's another one down. I'm getting closer to the end of this first TBR. So this vlog's getting closer to the end. I say that and I have still about 15 books left on it. But we're getting there. Slow and steady. Turtle in it. Guess who did have a pre-order coming in? So here's +1 to the book wall. This is, I think, the 7th Dark Olympus book, I want to say. This is Poseidon and Icarus. I can get behind that. This is Sweet Obsessions. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is the 8th. I own all of them. I've read the first 3. I own all of them, including the prequel novella on my Kindle. But yes, I suppose now I've got this one. At some point, I should start like continue the series. Like I've read the first 3. I enjoyed the first 3 enough to continue pre-ordering these. But yeah, that's a +1. At least we are staying even today because we got a -1. I'm getting rid of I finished the 2nd volume of Future Diary. And this we get into 6th. The 6th is the Future Diary owner that I think on my 3rd watch, I accidentally skipped her episodes. She's the cult one. Not that there aren't a lot, there's a lot of cults in Future Diary. Actually, if I'm remembering correctly, it's been a while since I've watched it, so it's been a couple years. Aren't they all the same cult? I think they're all the same cult. It just so happens that they're different aspects. But no. We got more 9th. We get 12th. Yuno's starting to go nuts. We're starting to see that Yuno's nuts. That's really fun. I love this series. I do have my my copy of the DVD of the anime on my like DVD player as like an option for watching, and as soon as I'm done watching the first season of Malcolm in the Middle, I'm on that, man. Like, oh, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be so fun. Alright, -1 from the book wall. I did finish up Maximum Ride the Angel Experiment. I started this book when I was a kid. I always say like there are only 3 books I've never finished, but then I read other books that I definitely started as a kid and then dropped, and this is definitely one of them. And I understand why, because it's not very good. This is James Patterson. It's not very good. Am I gonna continue on the series? No. But do I remember the absolute chokehold these books had on young adult literature in 2007, or whenever this came out. When did you come out? Let's see. 2005. I was close. Yeah. Yep. Everybody loved Fang. Fang was the man. I did finish this, so that is another -1. Hello. A +1 to the book wall. I don't know why I was happy about that. But I do have The School for Invisible Boys by Sean David Hutchinson. This was supposed to be in a large box of books that already got lost once, so then was reshipped to me, and I got an email that another one of those books in that package is going to be late again. I'm like, it's never coming. I'm never going to get the evil in me. And there might be another one coming later today, but for now, +1, and it is this. Right, -1. I did finish up Middle of the Night by Riley Sager. I guessed a good amount of it. Not all of it. I didn't guess who killed Billy. I didn't guess that part. But I guess kind of the rest of it, like who's doing all this stuff, I guess that, and who did this, I guess that. But I don't know how to feel about it. It wasn't like the ending wasn't very satisfying. It really wasn't like what actually happened. It was like it felt a little bit like a cop-out. But I did finish it. I think it's a very quick book. I think Riley Sager really just does hit with thrillers. He really does. Like, he writes some good thrillers. Some in the terms of thrillers, you know, like not in terms of satisfying all the time, but in terms of like it's quick, it's easy, it's fast. It's a Riley Sager thriller. But I did finish it with -1, so now we are even for the day, which is nice. Alright, minus another one for the book wall. I did finish up reading After God, Volume 1 by Sumi Eno. This is one that I got when I was still getting Hansama. Which is honestly, it's a great service. I think it is for people who are looking to get into different manga series. This was an interesting one. So this does follow this world where like gods have like taken over parts of Japan, and these gods are very dangerous, and we mostly follow kind of this research facility sort of, who was trying to figure out how to kill the gods or get rid of them or whatever, and this girl who's got something real weird going on behind her eyes. And it was interesting. Like I said, it was very interesting. I could see where this would be a very interesting anime. But at this point, I'm currently reading so many manga series that I can't justify adding another one if it's just like interesting. So it's interesting, but I'm not really all that interested in it. But it is minus another one, which does mean that especially if my package does not come today in the next 37 minutes, then I will be down one for this day, which is nice. All right, plus one, Evil in Me by Brahm. This will be my first Brahm book. I forgot that I got it in hardcover, and I'm very excited about it. I'm pretty pumped about this. This is one of those ones that was in the one that got lost, and then it is one of the ones that is in its own shipment. So they still have more coming, but that should be here on Monday, I believe, or Tuesday. Tuesday I should have a lot coming, actually, assuming we don't have any more major events. But no, this is beautiful. I'm very excited. I've heard very fun things about this and just Brahm in general. And so if this is good, we might look into some other stuff. I do have like 10 days before I can buy books again, so probably for the best, but add another one. Don't know why I'm so happy about this, but we added another one. A little minus one on the book wall. I did read Yearbook by Peter Landris. This had a really promising start. Like, it was very much a very typical kind of 90s YA horror book. And then it went a little bit pikey, you know, where it's kind of, I don't know. I wasn't a big fan of the main plot, honestly, in a lot of ways. It was a bit of a disappointment. But I did read it, I suppose. So that is a minus one. Minus another one from the book wall. I did finish up Usurper of the Sun by Kosuke Nojiri, which is a Japanese science fiction novel. It didn't really... I'm finding, as I'm exploring sci-fi, that I really like the idea of like the alien idea of intelligent life forms, but I like the idea of like how their societies work, and I like them to be kind of humanoid. I don't know, like the one sci-fi novel that's like pure sci-fi that I've read that I've really liked is Robert Heinlein's Methuselah's Children. And what I really liked about that book was all of the alien stuff. I really liked all the weird planets that they landed on. And this one, once we met the builders, that was really cool. But for the most part, this book was very meh for me. I don't know, like, it wasn't awful. I think I'm probably gonna land on about a 3-star, but could have been better. It could have been better. Okay, minus one on the book wall. Touch by Natalia Jaster. This is the new edition. And I'm gonna make a full video on this at some point. But so Natalia Jaster, her first 2 books, Touch and Trick, were books that I read when I was like maybe 17, 18, and Touch was this very sweet story about this love goddess who falls in love with this like mortal teenage boy who has a really rough home life and is really constantly picked on at school. And I really liked it. I just recently reread my review for it, which I made in like 2016 or whatever. I really liked it because it kind of subverted a lot of romance tropes, and it wasn't sexy or anything, but like it really subverted a lot. And so I was curious as to what it would be like when she rewrote this and she republished it as an adult book, an adult romance, and see if she was able to keep the core of the story. And I don't think she did. And it was really disappointing. Like I said, I'm going to do a full video on this at some point about authors, self-published authors in particular, rewriting their works when they think they've gotten better. But this turned from a very kind of subversive young adult romance to the most typical and boring romantasy novel I've ever read. It is so stereotypical. It hits every beat in a way that's like so not unique like the first book was. Like, and here's how she could have still she could have rewritten it and aged them up so that she could put sex in there. She just had to make him in college, like maybe like 20 years old. He still could have had a bad home life. He still, like, the thing with Andrew in the original book was he was kind of like scrawny and insecure, and he had these dreams, but he was really like not sure how to reach them, and he was really very guarded. And that wasn't, you're just a very typical romantic hero in this one. And I'm just like, she ruined it. She ruined Touch. So I did finish that. That's a -1. And I did rebuy, I bought the expanded version of Trick too, and I'm not really looking forward to it, honestly. What I really want now, honestly, is to find an old copy of Touch again, because that was such a good story. This is not, this is basic. This is just, you could read any fucking romantic book, and it would just be, it would be what this felt like. Hello, hello, -1 on the book wall. I did read Daft Go. I read Dan and Phil Go Outside. There's not much to say about Dan and Phil Go Outside, but yes, I graduated in 2015, and I was that kind of kid, that kind of 2010s kid. So we got this. Hello, I've got a +5 on the book wall. I came home to the last of the books that were lost. They're now found. I have them now. So the first one I did get, The Song Will Be Killers by Madeline Miller. I read this when I was, I think, in high school. I haven't read it since high school. I don't know where my old copy went. I did pick up a hardcover. I did also pick up A Darker Mischief by Derek Millman. I read Something by Millman, Scream All Night, which I enjoyed. So we will see what this one has. I have Bored Gay Werewolf by Tony Santarella. I think the title gives you everything you need. You Should Be So Lucky by Cat Sebastian, and Cold Heart Canyon by Clive Barker. So there's that. There's my +5 there. Yeah, it's been a day. Okay, we got plus another one, but it's just a New Yorker. I always forget that I get these this year. I have canceled my subscription. I hate subscriptions. But I do have the March 31st New Yorker. So +1. Alright, we do have a -1 finally. I did finish up Fireborn. I really liked it. I liked it enough to add the second book to my current Amazon cart that I will hit, purchase on the next time I get paid. But I don't know. There were parts where I felt myself skimming. But overall, it was an interesting book, and I did enjoy it to a point. Probably about a 4-star is probably where I'm going to sit this. But yes, that is that. Hello, hello. -1 for the book wall. I finished up Unleashed by Nancy Holder and Debbie Vigue. I'm so mad that this is my 100th book of the year, because this is my 100th book of the year. But it was honestly everything that was ever wrong with the paranormal romance. This is take Shiver but make it worse. The characters just they felt like pawns, on the game board. They didn't really have any real character behind them or any. They're just waffling constantly and just we'll do this because the plot demands it, and this, and it just wasn't good. Wasn't good. Sorry, I'm a little wired. I just ate a box of bottle caps, and I'm just kind of that's a lot of sugar going through my system. But -1 on the book wall. All right, yeah, another -1 from the book wall, and that is This Wonderful Season with You by Atsuko Yusen. Yusen also wrote Dekoboko Sugar Days, which I haven't read, but I've heard very good things about. This was sweet. It's a 1-volume thing. It's kind of a typical BL situation. I do like the characters. Yeah, no, very sweet art style. One step closer to being done with this first TBR. I'm actually very excited to finish this first TBR, I'm not gonna lie. Alright, -1. From that thing, you may notice that she looks a little prettier now. I did take out stack 29 for my next TBR, and when I put it back, I did grab some other ones, but you'll see that at the beginning of my second TBR takedown video. Sort of. I think the TBR is going to win this one, I'm not going to lie, but I do have -1. I did finish World After by Susan E. And I realized when I went to go add this to my Goodreads currently reading that I have read this book before. I read it in 2022. Do I remember anything? No. I thought I hadn't read it at all, but I had. I read it 3 years ago. And as I started going along a little bit more, I realized I was remembering some things, the whole thing with the bear and the sword. I was oh yeah, I have read this. Overall, I think that this is an interesting, it's a product of its time. Some of the things that are said are a little bit ooh, I don't know about that. But I read it. Will I ever finish the series? I don't know. I'm not really all that interested in book 3. I guess maybe if I find it at a thrift store or something, I might. I remember really enjoying the first book when I read it back, 10 years ago. But I don't know. I don't know. And also I heard the third book wasn't that good because it was like really rushed because it was supposed to be a 5-book series, and it got cut to 3. And so book 3 got really, really rushed. And I don't know. Maybe we'll find a thrift store or something. But yeah, overall, -1. And this TBR is almost done. I've got like 5 more books left on it, which is why I dug out my next one. But yeah. The TBR won on this one, just based on the sheer amount of books I've gotten and the fact that I only have 5 left. So maybe better luck next time for me, I think. All right, so that's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This plus 8 to the book wall. So let's just go through them real quick. No Remorse and Skip. These are my new releases. I came out with these very recently. And By God's Hand You Shall Die by David Sodergren, Runaway Train by Simon Doyle, The Smile Left Your Eyes by Danielle N. Dawson, Icing on the Cake by Christopher J. Bryce, My Love Mix-Up Volume 4, and Sunrise on the Reaping. So, we're doing so well in April, too. All right, -1. I did finish up Red Dragon by Thomas Harris. So I think the best word for this book is sparse. I haven't watched either of the movies that are based on this book. I think I own the Anthony Hopkins one. I'm pretty sure I have a DVD of it. And I watched the kill count for Manhunter. But I haven't watched either of the movies. I have watched Silence of the Lambs. I also listened to the abridged audiobook of Silence of the Lambs, which is basically just the movie Silence of the Lambs. And I really do understand. Granted, I haven't read Silence of the Lambs in its entirety. I do have it in the book wall. I do understand why Silence of the Lambs was so much more well received, because this wasn't very good. As a villain, the Tooth Fairy is very, like, he's concerning in a lot of ways. And I can see how Will Graham as a protagonist can be portrayed very well, but as a character in this book, he was just kind of like, it's fine. I think this is Landon added too. I also only have 4 more books until my first TBR is finished. And I can tell you right now that the book wall won the first round. Just based on how many books I've received. The book wall won the first round. So that's great. But I am still going to finish that TBR. Even though I do know, like, just like, I received too many books for the 4 to make a difference. But that is that. Hello. We got a -1 on the book wall because I did finish up Go Luck Yourself by Sarah Rosh. I think this one was better than The Nightmare Before Christmas. I honestly think I do. I think that Chris was a little bit more relatable. That's probably more of a personal thing. But Cole was almost more fun as a side character than as like a main character. I really understand the appeal of like the Hex, the emo, bad boy kind of thing that wasn't really a bad boy. But Locke and Chris's chemistry, and just the fact that I loved Chris's realizations about himself. Like, wait a minute, maybe I do have panic attacks. Like, again, something personally relatable, not the panic attack thing, but like the sudden realization of things about yourself that are clearly obvious to everybody around you. I understand Chris a lot. I understand Chris very deeply. Yeah, and I'm mad that her next book is not the Iris and Finn book. Come on, let's go, let's do that. But is in fact, it's this like another male romance, another like, it's like a Dungeons and Dragons inspired thing, which yes, I do have pre-ordered, but like, where's our Iris and Finn book? Because we know that's cooking. Like, that's got to be cooking, Sarah. No, this was very good. I never read any of Sarah Rosh's young adult books. I know she wrote like the Snow, like Fire, whatever it was. It was a whole series that was fairly popular for a while there, but I'm into her romances. I think they're real cute and fun. And I love that they all met, like the Dungeons and Dragons one, even though it's not in the series, it's gonna like match with like the sprayed edges and like the floppy paper back and like the illustrated cover too. Like, I love that. I love that they're doing that for us, because it's gonna match, it's gonna be beautiful, and I'm just, yes. This was good. This was very good. I only have 3 more books left in this TBR, so I should be finishing it this weekend. and then I can start my next vlog. And the TBR is big, and I think that means that the book wall is going to win again, because the book wall did definitely win this round. It definitely did, but I am seeing it out to the end, even though I do already know the book wall won this round. But I'm doing 5 rounds. I've decided that I'm doing 5 rounds, and then maybe more. But I mean, it's going to take more than 5 rounds to kill that thing, but we're doing 5 rounds to start with, and then we'll reevaluate from there. And the book wall definitely won round 1, but I do need to finish the round for my own integrity. And I will wrap up all those numbers and stuff at the end, because the book wall won. But that is that. Hello. So +2 more to the book wall, because it's kicking me while I'm down now. But my very last read book crate did arrive. And in there was The First and Last Demon by Hiyodori, and Demon King's Gardener Volumes 1 through 3 by Rory Thornton. And these are the book wall. They're so pretty. I see these boxes, I'm like, they're so pretty, and I'm so sad about canceling, because they really do send pretty books, and the books that I've read by them I've loved. Snow Boys was fantastic. But it's $60 a month, and I'm not gonna justify that, so I'm adding this to the book wall. However, and like here's the thing, if I really want some, they have past boxes in their store, and oftentimes they're discounted, so I can just do that, you know. All right, minus another one for the book wall. I did finish up Female Chauvinist Pigs by Ariel Levy, which is a nonfiction book. It was also published in 2005, so it's very outdated in a lot of ways. But I thought it was interesting. I thought it was an interesting look, especially nowadays, where we are not out of this raunch culture, but where there has been a big swing back, especially with some of the younger Gen Z folks, towards a very strict Puritanism in a lot of ways. And I think that this book had a good discussion concerning the kind of balance between those two things. And even though we are in kind of the opposite side of things in some ways than was discussed in this book, the whole balance is still relevant. And it's still like, how do we find a way to make sure that women are protected from these sort of things, while also not demonizing them for sex or demonizing sex in general, which is interesting. It had some interesting thoughts in it. I'm going to talk more about it in my wrap up for this week. But yeah, I only have one more book in this first TBR, and then we will have our little wrap up, and I will tell you how much the book wall won. But that is that. All right, minus another one for the book wall. I did finish up The Sea of Monsters by Rick Riordan. I think this is my least favorite in the original series. The first one. It's got kind of the magic of being the first one. The third one I think is probably my favorite. We get Nico and Bianca. We get all sorts of really kind of dramatic emotional moments. The fourth one's got the labyrinth, which I love. And then the fifth one is just like an iconic kind of finale. But this one is this one. I mean, we do get, it really does feel like a transitory book more than a lot of the other books in the series do. I do love the original cover for this one. I think out of the originals, I think this one maybe has one of the better covers. But yes, we get Tyson, I suppose. We get a lot of Percy introspection, which I suppose is good to have. But yeah, that is -1. I've got 2 left on this first TBR. So I'm almost done. The book that I pulled for after this one, I have a spinny wheel. That's how I pick which one I read next. I could finish today, and I think I'm going to do my best to finish it today, so that I can start the last one tonight, and finish it absolutely before the weekend is out. Knock on wood, before the end of tomorrow, so that I can get started on my second vlog for this and wrap this up and tell you just how much the book wall has defeated me, which this is a number that you could come up with yourself if you did the math, but you can wait a couple minutes until I just tell you in your perspective. Hello. That's going to be a +2 to the book wall. So we've got The New Yorker from April 7th and The New Yorker for April 15th. Hello. So I finished my first TBR for TBR Takedown, and the book wall won. But I do want to talk about the book before I talk about that. But I did finish my reread of Summer Suns, and I swear to God, every time I read this book, I like it more. This is the third time I've read this book. It is genuinely beautiful. Just, it's written, the way it's written is beautiful. The relationships between the characters is beautiful. Riley is beautiful. I love this book so much, so much. I want to read everything that Lee Mandello ever writes, ever. They are amazing. Like, I love The Woods All Dark too. And I have another novella that they wrote on the way to me. Like, Lee Mandello, like, I called them one of my favorite authors in a favorite authoring, despite only reading 2 books by them, and that's because they're amazing. Anyway, so at the beginning of this, the book wall was at $25.92, which is, you know, ridiculous. I did go up 12. Now we're at 26.04, so we're at a plus 12. The book wall won the first round of all of this. I can still win totally, you know, if the book wall, if I can get my next one to not do that. But yes, overall, the book wall won the first round by adding a plus 12. And I was thinking, is like, what do I do, you know, for this? Like, what do I do for this? Do I just like accept that the book wall won the first round? You know, I don't know. And it's a big thought. But that is the end of the first TBR takedown. Did I take down my TBR? No, I did not. I certainly did not take down my TBR. But I've got 4 more rounds of this, so I'm about to film my TBR for the next part, which is like an 82 book TBR. And so we will see. But yes, wonderful, wonderful book.